New coronavirus restrictions about to go into effect, some coming from the state, others closer to home.
Guilford County sets new restrictions you'll have to follow.
State lawmakers begin meeting remotely this week on how best to address the lasting impacts of the coronavirus.
Get ready, heavy rain coming overnight. All this rain in Tennessee, it's moving our way.
The end of an era down in Charlotte as the Panthers officially release Cam Newton. We'll have much more coming up during sports.
Many are finding ways to keep their spirits high. How a woman in Burlington is using balloons to bring joy to you.
I took an idea and I taped it to people's mail posts.
WFMY News 2 at 11 starts right now.
Social distancing continues at WFMY News 2 tonight. Shad and Tim are working from home. All of us doing our part to slow the spread of coronavirus. We will get to your rainy forecast in just a moment, but let's start with new restrictions announced in Guilford County tonight. The county is banning gatherings with 10 or more people after confirming its first case of community spread. The ban applies to towns and cities in the county, including Greensboro and High Point. It takes effect at 5 p.m. tomorrow, the same time as the governor's new executive order that closes more businesses. There are many exceptions and some consequences. Let's break it down. WFMY News 2's Marissa Tansino joins us live now in Greensboro tonight with more on what the new rules mean for you.
Yeah, and Julie, just like you said, those restrictions go into effect tomorrow night starting at 5. And the county hopes that people listen to these guidelines in addition to those recommended by the CDC to prevent even more drastic measures going into place in the future. Fresh new restrictions impacting every person in Guilford County going into effect Wednesday evening. No one's allowed to gather in groups of more than 10 people. County Commissioner Skip Alston says extra measures are meant to stop the spread of the coronavirus.
There's going to be some serious consequences if we don't adhere to the medical advice that we've been given.
The new restrictions also prohibit use of playgrounds on public property. Violators could be charged with a misdemeanor. The county hopes these extra measures will prevent more in the future, like a stay-at-home order.
We have not had any discussion as of yet as a county commissioners, only indirectly with one another, but not collectively as a body.
Alston says if a stay-at-home order is issued, it could look similar to other models.
You're providing what they call an essential service to the community. You are exempt for that, and you can go to your job and exercise that duty.
That would include medical staff and police. Although it hasn't happened yet, Alston says he thinks it's a good strategy.
We have to do something to keep people from being around each other, especially ones that might be affected by the virus.
Now, in response to these new restrictions, Greensboro Mayor Nancy Vaughn said she appreciates the county's recognition of the seriousness of this virus and the need to contain community spread. Now that the county has acknowledged a case of community spread, we, the City Council, will be looking at additional steps to safeguard the community.
Marissa, thank you. Leaders in the Charlotte area took it a step further today. Mecklenburg County passed a stay-at-home order. It's the only North Carolina county to do so. People can't go to work except if they have essential jobs. President Donald Trump says he'd like to reopen the country by Easter Sunday. That's April 12th, about 3 weeks away. Coronavirus Task Force member Dr. Anthony Fauci gave his take.
That's really very flexible. We just had a conversation with the president in the Oval Office talking about, you can look at a date, but you got to be very flexible. And on a literally day by day and week by week basis, you need to evaluate the feasibility of what you're trying to do.
Meantime, the Senate keeps getting closer to passing a massive stimulus bill. They hit a speed bump in the process yesterday, but lawmakers say they are close to getting a deal done. Here are some of the details we know so far. $500 billion in loans for big businesses, $400 billion for small businesses, one-time cash payments for working Americans, up to $1,200 for individuals, up to $3,000 for average American families. It also expands unemployment insurance. A vote is not expected until tomorrow. The news of the impending relief package gave a tremendous boost to the stock market. The Dow Jones soared more than 2,000 points today. It is the biggest one-day jump since 1933. More funding secured for North Carolina schools. Today, Governor Roy Cooper directed $50 million to help public schools with at-home learning resources and meals for students. This money comes from unused funds from the current and previous school years. Some also came from the State Emergency Response and Disaster Relief Fund. The State House's task force meets tomorrow. They're boasting more than $5 billion in money that could be spent in response to the coronavirus. WFMY News 2's Alma McCarty found out where the money comes from, if they can use it, and what's next.
Across our state, many of us are getting used to this new work-from-home lifestyle. Same goes for state representatives. Many are now serving on what they call the COVID-19 task force.
The purpose of our task force is to be able to take a very specific look at all the ways in which COVID-19 is having an impact on North Carolina.
Representative John Hardister says the task force will lay the groundwork for swift action when the General Assembly convenes at the end of April, while Governor Cooper and other state leaders address the immediate response to the coronavirus. Right now, the House's task force will look at the lasting impact.
What we want to do between now and then, because that's not much more than a month from now, is we want to look at what kind of action can we take once we do go back in session to help address the crisis.
The Guilford County representative says there are 4 areas of focus.
One is education, one is healthcare, one is economy, the other is government operations, and that includes things like state parks and transportation, public safety, and things like that.
For education, how can lawmakers address childcare and virtual learning? For healthcare, does our medical system have enough supplies like ventilators, masks, and gloves? For the economy, Hardister says the state is waiting to see what Congress passes in terms of stimulus. He says it's a good thing North Carolina has a nearly $4 billion unemployment reserve and more money elsewhere.
That said, that money is not going to last forever. And that's why we're hoping that the situation with the virus will stabilize sooner rather than later.
The task force will begin meeting remotely Wednesday morning. In Greensboro, Alma McCarty, WFMY News 2.
Starting tomorrow, more businesses will close for at least 30 days. It's the latest executive order from Governor Roy Cooper. You'll remember last week, all businesses statewide, all restaurants statewide had to close their dining rooms. Some have shifted to delivery and pickup. Others are laying off workers. 2 Wants to Know's Kevin Kennedy met one Greensboro restaurant owner who says he's doing everything he can to stay afloat.
The doors are open at Poblanos. But look inside. Tables sit empty, not your typical Tuesday.
Usually on a Tuesday, like Taco Tuesday, we do really good. And today, I don't think we're gonna do like half of what we do.
Which is still better than most days in this new normal. David Romero estimates his business is off by about 70%.
In this moment, I don't care about making money, it's at least to cover my expenses. Cover my payroll, my rent, my utility.
Those expenses cut in the form of 12 employees. Romero only has 4 people on staff now, and their hours are much less.
It's tough, It's like I have a conversation with them the other day. I said, look, guys, either I shut down the restaurant, there's no pay for nobody, or take extra days off. I cut some days off, and at least you're making a little bit of money.
It is simply a sad reality as many restaurants and businesses struggle to stay open. How long is the unknown?
I think we're going to be okay for now. But if this continues to get longer, that's a little bit concerned.
Those laid off, like thousands and thousands of others across the state, are eligible for unemployment. Romero encouraging them to apply.
And if there is no issue between what the claimant has said and what the employer has said, we will then approve the claim.
The governor making it easier to collect while not charging the employer who is already struggling.
Claims that are due to COVID-19 won't be charged to an employer's account per the governor's executive order.
Poblanos, like so many other restaurants, offering takeout deals. Anything to get you to come inside and take something home. Kevin Kennedy, 2 Wants to Know.
Convenience stores and supermarkets aren't included in this latest round of restrictions, but they're dealing with their own struggles right now. We went from store to store today, searching for toilet paper and other essentials. Some got lucky, others not so much.
So it's like, you can go see what's left, and I got the last 2 on the shelf.
People were like literally trying to knock each other down, trying to get toilet tissue. It's sad that we've gotten to this point to where people are trying to fight over toilet tissue.
Walmart and Harris Teeter are among the stores looking to hire people to keep up with demand. When it comes to toilet paper, they say it's best to just be patient. Now, some are trying to take advantage of this demand, and Senator Tom Tillis is having none of it. Today, he introduced a bill that would punish people who price gouge during an emergency like this one. And he did not mince words today. In a statement, he called them low-life price gougers who try to rip off their fellow Americans, and our medical professionals need to be criminally prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Many have wondered about dental offices. Should they be able to stay open? The state has control over that, and so far there is no mandate, but many have shut down as a safety measure. Other offices like Friendly Dentistry in Greensboro are only seeing patients with emergencies. They've canceled all other appointments, going from about 80 patients a day down to about a dozen. And they're screening each of them before they come in the door.
We're having patients park in our parking lot and call us. We're going out to the parking lot, taking their temperature. We're using a questionnaire to screen them for signs and symptoms of COVID-19.
Friendly Dentistry says its goal is to keep people out of the emergency room, a place that could get overwhelmed. Well, here is support that you love to see. Triad Church Ministries rallied together today to pray for hospital staff at Annie Penn Hospital in Reidsville. The hospital's president says although they have not seen a surge of patients, nurses are worried.
It's interesting. Most of the fear is not about for themselves. It's about their family. You know, they don't want to take anything home to their family. And so we're working with our team on how to mitigate that, how to keep them safe.
The hospital has a coronavirus tent set up outside the emergency room. So far, they have not needed to use it.
It was a parade like you have never seen before. Teachers from Highland Elementary in Burlington drove through their neighborhoods today, waving to their students who've been home from school for more than a week. Students heard they'd be doing it, so many of them made their own signs sharing how much they've missed their teachers. And how about this for inspiration? A third grader from Greensboro Day School displays a massive sign every day for people in his neighborhood. Today it said, "You are truly amazing." Charlie Thompson says it's something he learned about in school.
I want them to realize that they have good things in their life, and yeah.
So far, his signs have read, "You are strong, there is a light in everybody, and you are truly amazing." We found some more inspiring and encouraging words during this break from in-person teaching and learning. Check this out. A Rural Hall Elementary student and his mom wanted to share their message of hope in a more permanent way. They painted the huge spirit rock in front of their school, saying, "We are all in this together." 9-year-old Tanner is a 4th grader at the school. No doubt other students and staff will be happy to see their new bright and colorful display. Coming up in about 5 minutes, another story of hope in a challenging time. A triad street with balloons at every house. A Burlington woman came up with the idea to bring joy to her neighbors.
Well, you hear it right now. Rain is here in the Triad, and I'm actually expecting more rain overnight, which will get harder and heavier. Thunder is also a possibility. As we zoom in on radar, you noticed all the action out in Tennessee. That is moving closer to us as we go throughout the night. Even right now, we're already seeing some very steady and at times heavy rain too in parts of the Triad. Right now, that heaviest of rain is from Winston-Salem to Summerfield, Greensboro, and everywhere in between. So when does it all kick through here, and when is it the worst? Here's Futurecast. The worst of it right now in Tennessee, moving closer to us by 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the morning. That should be when we have the heaviest of that rain. And then by 5 and 6, it's starting to taper off. So A little bit of rain lingering tomorrow morning, but by and large, this is happening while we're sleeping. Again, it might wake you up. Be aware of that. The dog might hear some thunder, might be waking them up as well. But throughout the day tomorrow, things are improving. A little bit of clearing for that second half of the day. Coming up for Wednesday, we'll have a high temperature right around 58 to 60 degrees. That's your afternoon high. Coming up after that, it's really warm. We'll be talking about that warmer weather by the end of the week. Next.
A chase in Forsyth County ends in a deadly shooting. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office says Christopher Mock died tonight after a deputy shot him on Clemens Road. Deputies tried to pull him over this afternoon. They wanted to question him in connection to a missing persons case. The woman who disappeared was found dead in her Winston-Salem home this afternoon. Deputies say Mock took off, starting a chase that damaged 4 cars along the way. Deputies later fired shots, hitting him. The deputies are on administrative leave, which is standard in officer-involved shootings. We'll be right back.
We've told you about so many cancellations and restrictions lately, it can feel like we're running out of things to celebrate. But you've got to check this out. A Triad woman is using balloons to lift spirits in her neighborhood, and now they're lining her street.
It is so great to see, Chad. WFMY News 2's Grace Holland found out how she's motivating neighbors to pass it on.
Something is popping up in this Burlington neighborhood.
As you can see, the neighborhood is awash with yellow.
Yellow balloons hang on mailboxes along Deborah Lambeth Street.
I took an idea and I taped it to people's mail posts.
She put out packets with a balloon, string, and a simple request. But she didn't know how her neighbors would respond.
Just around the back.
Until she saw those balloons tied around those same mailboxes. Then she knew people understood what it meant.
I think it's great. We gotta support everybody.
Showing that we're all in this together and we're all trying to stay positive out here. And I thought it was really awesome that somebody took the initiative to say, hey, we need to do something.
More and more of us are retreating into our homes in the name of social distancing. But Lambeth says that doesn't mean we can't be together.
I'm trying to counter the fear because we need happy. It's a sad and scary situation for a lot of people.
Countering the sad with a smile to show that even apart, we're all here for each other, floating on the same breeze.
And I think we'll rise up after it's over and be better for it.
Now, Deborah Lambeth says she plans to take more of these balloon kits to other streets in her neighborhood, and she hopes to see happiness, not the virus, spread throughout the city. In Burlington, Grace Holland, WFMY News 2.
And we want to know what brings joy to you right now. Post your stories and pictures on social media using the hashtag #JoyToYou. It brings us joy to share your stories. Well, it was a wet day for some, and it looks like it's going to be a wet night too.
Yeah, Tim, we might wake up to some rumbles of thunder overnight. Lambert not happy about that.
Yeah, dogs not happy, people also